Hello, I am going to do the Makeup Masterclass run through. So I'm going to do a very brief, as quick to the point as possible, elevated everyday makeup look following the same steps that we followed at our Makeup Masterclass. So any of the products that you purchased, you will see pop up here and you'll know what to do with each of those steps. I also have my brush kit here. And so this will help you to remember exactly what brush is used for what. So I am going to start off by assuming we've done our skincare. So if we've done we're cleansing, and then we do our toning essence, our firm and tight serum, and then our DNA cream. If you are wearing sunscreen, this is when you do your sunscreen. It's your last step of your skincare routine before you start your makeup routine. Make sure that you let every layer sink into your skin. Remember, thin layers. Let each layer sink in before you start on the next layer. Otherwise, they just get mixed up. Make sure it's all settled into the skin before you start your makeup. So I am going to start off with my foundation, remembering that we want to, I do a little mix combo color. Remember that we want to work it into the hand before we put it onto the face. This will give us our light, natural layers that we want. It means that the product will be evenly distributed in that nice light film over the skin, and you won't end up being too heavy in any areas. It'll also ensure that we don't get a whole bunch of product kind of like creasing up in all of the areas that we don't want it to. So buffing it in, you can see I'm just doing really little short motions for that buffing. More than anything, we actually want to be sort of patting into the skin as best as we can instead of wiping and swiping your foundation over your face. And the reason for that is because we want it to be like placed rather than spread, because spread will mean that we get brush strokes and an uneven finish on the skin. So we go in with our first layer. We sort of want to let that layer really settle in. Once it's starting to set down is when we want to sort of leave it for a minute. And then we go over again with our second layer if we're choosing to do a second layer. Often we don't actually need a second layer. For me, I'm bringing it down my neck a little because the color difference between my neck and my face, but also my neck and my chest, is really major. So I've got that sort of darker pinkish tone here. I'm very, very white here. And then I've got a little bit of warmth and sun damage in my skin on my face. So that's always a bit darker than even my chest is. So that's why I'm going to bring that down my neck. But just be really careful when you're making that decision, because if you are wearing something that is going to create makeup transfer, we probably don't want makeup in that area. So for your second layer, I've picked up everything off my hand now. For your second layer, we really want to not be going into the air, not be going over to the entire face. Like we want to go just into the areas like we feel like that we need it. So for me at the minute, I'm like, there's a little spot up there. Let's just give that a little bit of extra love and attention. If you're experiencing dark circles or redness in the cheek, this is where I would bring in another layer. So like half a pump, work it into your hand and come only into the areas that you need a little extra coverage. For a lot of people, that'll just be in that T-zone area. That stops us from getting that really, really heavy foundation look. It also prevents us from needing to use as much concealer, and concealer is it's a thicker pigment, and it's also a different formula. So if we're putting too much concealer over the top of our foundation, it can actually just change the way that the makeup's sitting on the skin in those areas. So if we can, we use foundation instead of concealer. And if there's anything that foundation truly can't sort out, that's when we'd get concealer involved. So from here, I am going to do some bronzing. So remember, this is not a contour. This is like a bronze contoury vibe. So we want it, again, light layers. So during the class, I actually scraped this off and put it on your hand for you. If it's your own product, hygiene-wise, it's fully safe just to go into the product like that. So we can do this and then go straight on the face when we're confident, but until we're confident, I want you to continue just to put it on the back of your hand a little bit so that you're getting rid of any of that excess product and so that you can confidently come onto the face and know that you're not going to get too much product going on. So we're going back and forth on either side of the face to evenly distribute that product, and then we're going to come back and blend. For placement purposes, if you remember, we did the tissue from the corner of the mouth to the top of the ear. I don't have a tissue right in front of me, but this also works. So even for you, you can bring up your brush, gives you your nice straight line, and that tells you where your placement is going to be. But you can see that I know now where to put that product really confidently, and you'll get that confidence too. So a little bit over the forehead is also a good idea. Just on the corners, just to warm it up. It's like remembering that we're placing it where the sun would naturally sort of hit our face. For me, I just have such a small forehead that the effect of the bronzer on the forehead isn't great. But for most people who have normal sized foreheads, it looks really nice just to break up the face a little bit and just add a little extra dimension. So right now I can see where this is really stopping and starting. So this is where I'm going to bring in my foundation brush again. No extra foundation is going on here. I'm just blending up the edges. So that's stop and start point. So you can see now there's no lines. There's none of those lines really making it obvious that I've placed that down. It's become more natural looking. So then we're going to go to blush. Again, now if you got the Nutrimetics cream blush, please remember how pigmented this stuff is. Like, I just make this mistake almost every time that I use it. So again, you can pick it up with your brush and then put it on your hand, or you can put a little bit on your hand and pick it up from there. So place, blend, 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 blend. So place, so it's just above that bronzer. Place, just above the bronzer. And remembering also we have our no-go zone here. So this is where we don't want our blush to be getting placed. We're bringing it up around that temple a little bit because we want the lift. The pigment is it's so heavy. So I'm using my foundation brush. You can see I'm not going over where the blush is sitting. I'm going where those lines are, where you can really see where it stops and starts. That's what I'm doing to blend that blush in. Put a little bit more, but I haven't picked up any extra product. I'm just doing my best to distribute this without it being too heavy. All right, I think we're good there. This is also another little hint if you want a little extra color on your face, if you're feeling like your face is really one-dimensional, and especially if you're not going to be doing eye makeup, it's nice to put a little bit of that excess on the nose. It kind of like, it gives that, again, more natural coloring. Like, this is where our natural coloring would be. My dog's outside waiting to come in. All right, so now I'm going to do brows very quickly. So if you've got your brow perfector, we're just going to be brushing that in. Brushing over the eyebrow. So I start at the front section of the brow, and then I'm just going to go over the tail. If you have less tail than front of your brow, I recommend always to start at the tail and build the color on the tail first, and then bring it over to the front, because we want more color on the tail. So most of the color will come off the brush on the tail, and then less color will come over the front of the brow. I think a lot of the time what goes wrong with brows is that we put too much product in the center part of the brow, and then we start to look kind of angry. So we want to avoid that. Now I'm going to move to, just a reminder, actually, I forgot to mention, This one was our foundation brush. This one was our bronzer and blush brush. I'm going to move into eyes now. So my MAC paint pot, this is the color Soft Ochre. I'm just pulling a little bit out with my finger. That's it. Starting in the center of the eye, working up to the brow, blending it out to the tail, and then with that last excess bit, bringing it to the front, or the inner third of the eye. The reason I'm doing it that way is because I want most of the product here. Blending it out makes it really easy to blend out. If I start from here, it's really hard. You've got nowhere to go with it. This product dries very quickly. That's the whole point of it. So once it's starting to dry, you want to stop playing with it. All right, eyeshadow palette. This is the eyeshadow palette I'm going to use. I'm going to use color number 1, which is this candy almond color. Everybody needs this color as their transition color. Just realized I'm missing a brush. All right, so eyeshadow brushes. So we have this one first, which is our eyeshadow placement brush. It's the smaller one. The bristles are shorter, a little bit more dense, and this is not completely round here. It's got that flatness to it. This is our blending brush. So this is the longer bristles, fluffier brush. This one is the one we keep clean and we use for blending. This one is the one that we use for placement. So I'm gonna start by getting my candy almond, coating the tip of the bristles. You can see that I'm not using the side of the brush. I'm using the tip of the bristles. Little tap off, because look at all that fallout. We don't want that on our face. We're starting from the outside of the eye and working inward, and it's just a sweeping motion across that crease. So looking directly at yourself. This is the mobile lid. This is the crease. This is the eyebrow bone, or the eyeball bone, and then this is the eyebrow bone. So we're going just into that crease and a little bit above. So you can see backwards and forwards. We're not getting too fussy about this one, but we do sort of want to just hook it into that crease, because can you see how that's just adding a contour and a dimension to the eye that's not here?
Sorry, baby.
So same on the other side. At this point in time, the only thing we need to be thinking about is that we do not want to come up too high or we'll lose that contour. Also, sad eye, if you remember, bringing it out further than where that bottom lash line stops is going to create sad eye. But at this stage, we're doing our concealer at the end so that we get an opportunity to clean that up. So now that I've placed that all down, I'm just going to blend it. I'm using the same brush. I'm just blending it up a little bit, but you can see I've left a really, really intentional space between where my crease transition work is going and my eyebrow bone, because we want that to be nice and light. It gives us that natural highlight. But again, we don't have to be too fussy about this one as long as we're not adding extra product. If you're feeling like, again, you can see stop start lines or anything like that, that's when you can bring in your blending brush and clean up the edges. So just on a day-to-day, this is actually your eye makeup look. You don't have to do anything more than this. A bit of mascara and you're good to go. I would clean this up a little bit with some concealer, but that'd be it. So this is where I would, on a day-to-day, I'd actually go in with a little more. Build it. So I'm just going, sweeping that crease. And I can build that up a little bit. This is what I do as an eye makeup look on the daily. Mostly this is as much as I'm doing. I'll go a little bit underneath my eye as well, because that really works for my eye. Can you see how that just brings it around? That's going to come down to your confidence levels. And if you like eyeshadow product under your eyes, it doesn't work for everybody and not everybody enjoys it. It's also sort of a difficult area to get into, but you can see the angle of my brush is coming up and not coming in. So that's something you really have to be careful of so that you're not poking yourself in the eye. But We're going to smoke it up a little bit more for our everyday, elevated everyday look. So I'm going to come in now with Macchiato, which is my deep smoky color. This is where we'd bring in color as well. So if you wanted to do something like a nice copper sparkle or a plum sparkle, something deep, you could use these colors. If you wanted to do something like green or blue or purple, this would be a good time to be bringing in those colors. But I'm going to do this because mostly this is how we're doing that classic smoky. So product on the end of the brush, we're not doing it on the sides of the brush or it's not going to go where we want it to go. Tap off, because see all that dust, that'll end up on our face. And then the outer third of the mobile lid. So you can see I'm placing on the outer third only. 1, 2, and 3 are thirds. I'm placing on just the mobile lid. Can you see I'm not coming up into that crease? I want that product to meet my transition work that I just did with that other color, but I don't want it to go up too high, or it's going to end up being like a really intense smoky. If we were going really intense smoky, we would be bringing it up now, but we're not. We're going just classic, everyday smoky eye. Place, 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 pat, 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 blend, blend, blend. So hard to see in the camera, but I can see here that I've got some lines. I've got like a really dead straight line here. And this is just, it's just really a harsh kind of messy looking line there. Oh yeah, that's better. Can you see that? So what I want to do here is actually just blend. So I've changed my brush now to that blending brush, and I'm just going over where those lines are. I am bringing it up a little bit into that transition work that we did, but you can see it's just taking the edge off. And that's gonna take you from looking like your eyeshadow is not intentional to blending and being very, very intentional. So I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. We're back in the Macchiato. Tap off, outer third of the mobile lid only. My movements are pressing and placing. It's a very soft feather. It's not sweeping. I'm being really, really careful with where I'm putting it. Also, you can see I'm working from the outside inwards, just on that outer third, because I don't want to create that sad eye for myself. So you can see there, I've placed the product, and now I just want to blend it. So I've swapped over that brush. I'm going to blend it into that first color a little bit and take the edge off those lines. While I'm here, I'm just going to blend that up and out a little bit as well. You can see I wiped off that extra because again, I've got that harsh line that I want to get rid of. Okay, so now we're moving on to the light shimmery color. So this is like a eye highlights. This is the color that I'm going to use. This is an opportunity to use something like this as well. If we've done this dark macchiato, this is also a time where we can bring in the copper or the plum colors as well. Remembering it's going to take our eye look deeper, which is not a bad thing. It's just depending on the look we're going for. So we're going to go classic soft smoky. So for that, we're going to use that one or something similar. If I was going for like a bronze smoky, then I would choose the bronze. Plum smoky, then I would choose the plum, etc. and so forth. So you can see how this changes depending on what look you're going for. The other opportunity here is that if I did like a bright blue on the outer corner here, that's when I'd marry it up with maybe a silver or something to give that little bit of gradient. But I'm going to use this one. It's called Astral. I'm actually going to pick it up with my finger and place it down. So you can see exactly where I'm putting it. Picking it up with the finger is going to help to place the shimmer back down without it going everywhere. So it's a really good way of doing it. I'm using this finger because it's our weakest and most cushiony finger, so it gives us more precision. So you can see it's that middle third. I don't want to come in here. It's going to get too heavy, too sparkly. It's just not going to look fresh and clean. So just in the middle there. Then I'm bringing in my blending brush and just shimmying it. So we don't want it working into this dark product because that will, it will create a reflection over the top of the dark product and you'll lose it. And it often turns that like kind of grey. So let's go again on the other side. Press, press, press. See that? And then I'm just using my blending brush. I'm blending it inwards, but not blending it too much outward.
Yeah, they've just fallen off. We were having regular.
And then the light's going to catch that as we're going about our business. All right, so moving on to eyeliner. This is where we can just put it on, or we use our eyeliner brush. I much prefer to do it this way. It's going to create a more smoky look, which I love, but also it's easier and it's like you've got more control. I find you've got more control unless you're really good with the eye pencils. So just taking it off the brush like this.
The young fellow is
and we're going to do outer third along that lash line. So it's right on the lash line, right on it. You want to be able to feel your lashes moving around. So it's bringing in that depth of colour to the lash line. The whole point of the eyeliner is really to thicken up the lash line. So I've started on the outer third and I've placed it on the outer third, but I've used the same brush to blend it in that middle half as well. So it's come over. You see that? And there's the difference between the eyes. So you can see it's just thickened it up a little bit. It's a take it or leave it step. So placing on the outer third, I'm starting on the outside of the lash line, right where the lashes finish, where that last lash is, and I'm bringing it over that third, and then once I've placed all the product down is when I move it over to that middle half, right? We do not want to go into that middle third, because in that inner third, because that's when we start to close our eyes in. They look closer together, we look more tired, we'll close our eyes down, so we don't want to do that. So just on that outer third. So this is another way of being able to apply something underneath your lashes. So you can use your pencil to do this. You can also just use your eyeshadow to do this. So we might bring in the macchiato, we might just bring in the candy almond, but we also might bring in the bronze. If we were using the bronze, maybe it's an opportunity to bring the bronze underneath rather than smoking underneath the lashes too much. But let's just show you. When we're doing it on ourselves, we want to be putting our chin down so that we're stretching that skin a little. But for the sake of trying to show you this in the camera, outer third, placing it, and you can see I'm really just feathering it on. And you can see how that's framing around the eye. You can bring it up. Let's just do that for the fun of it. You can bring it up. That's how you can create like a tick or a wing without doing a wing, because a wing is really hard. But you sort of brought it up, but I haven't gone directly in with my product doing that. I've blended the excess product doing that. So just be really careful with that one. But it is a really nice way of just enhancing the look a little. As you can see, I've sort of, so same, watch the angle. So see how the tallest bristles are here? That's going to give us the wrong line. Tallest bristles on the outside of our work. Coming right on those lashes. Outer third placement, blending to the halfway mark. And I'm just bringing in a little tick, just for the fun of it. Just for the fun of it. We may want to blend a little bit with our brush coming under here. We may not. That has brought in that macchiato color, so that blends it through that center part, but I don't like it. I don't really like what that's done. So now I'm just gonna do that. And I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna clean that up. All right, there's another way of doing, again, something different is having that darker color on the outer and then a little shimmer on that section on the inside. You can do it that way. I do find most people, I do find most people who are not super confident with eye makeup generally tend not to do too much work underneath the eye. So it's something definitely to practice. So I'm going to pop a little bit of eye mascara on because The mascara makes all the difference in the world. Look at that, it's just opened up the eye. Really frames the eye as well. This is when you can do a little bit underneath the eye as well if you want, if that's the look you're going for. Let's just get that on. And now we're going to do the concealer. And the concealer is what's going to clean up our sad eye. If you don't have concealer, or if you don't like to use concealer, you can do this with foundation as well instead. Actually, I'll show you what I would do. It's my own, because it's my own product, which will be your own product. Take off the excess, and then we're just going to dot, 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 dot. That's it. In fact, I'd say that's even maybe a little bit too much. So we want our flat brush for this. Oops, that was not meant to happen. And we're going to blend it over and down a little. I'm going to bring mine right up here. You can see I'm avoiding where the eyeshadow is, but for me, I got major dark circles in there. And I'm bringing it down the side of my nose, because if I blend it too far over here, I'm going to start to lose all of my work that I've done for my blush. Blending it out a little. This is also a time where I would bring in my finger even to just make sure your fingers are clean, but just pat it down. Concealer is a much drier product, so you want it to dry down, and you sort of want to pat it and manipulate it until it does. So we could just come in with our finger now if we wanted to and bring it down, but you can see it doesn't like move the product around all that much. So this is where just getting the brush and moving it to where you want it, a little bit down sort of the side of the nose and into the corner of the nose there, but then bringing it over. I'm not putting any more product under here because this is creasing central. We don't need a lot of product under here. You can see how that's cleaning up that sad eye and giving me that lift, but not disrupting that blush and contour too much, contour / bronze. But it's given that. This is also a time where you could bring your foundation brush back in just to really marry it all together. But again, just note, everything is like a patting motion rather than a wiping motion. We want more patting, less wiping. At this stage in our makeup, we are like set down. So the foundation's been on for like a good 15 minutes. So now we know exactly what our foundation is going to look like. So this is a good time to have another look and go, okay, is there anywhere else that I feel like I need some extra coverage? Has anything moved? Has my skin absorbed any of that foundation? And now I'm starting to see a bit of redness showing through here or here. Have I been touching my face? Do I need to just make sure that I'm patching up my work or adding an additional layer if I need, only in the areas that I need? This is also the time where if you feel like you want powder, if you're feeling too shiny or you're feeling like you really want to set it down, we would use powder at this point. I don't recommend powder for everybody. In fact, I find that I recommend powder less and less. As the different foundation products, like some foundation products just simply don't need it. So, but if we were going to powder, this is how we'd do it. We'd pick up our powder and we'd put it down into our hand, because look at all that coming off. We don't want that on our face. Just a sheen, just a tiny little sheen there. Avoiding my brows. Again, it's patting, never wiping. So I'm going to pick up a little bit more, but from my hand, and come in here. I'm not going under the eyes where I crease. It's just unpopular advice to me. I don't like, well, it's my unpopular opinion about this advice. I don't like powder under the eyes, because no matter what, anywhere there's makeup, there will be movement, which means under the eyes, move, makeup will move. If it's something you suffer with, you really want to make sure you can press that product back into place when it creases. So when you're going about your day and you're like, oh, I wonder if my eye makeup's creased, you don't even need a mirror for that. But if you've powdered it down, it's going to crack, and then you can't push it back into place, and it's just really hard to touch up. So again, I'm just coming in that center part of the face. I'm not coming all the way up into the crease central. And then if I feel like I need it around here, I can. Not a bad idea to kind of go over the lips if you find that you get a bleeding of your lip pencil, because that'll help just absorb any moisture around the lip. This is also a time that if you wanted to just soften down anything around here, you could definitely do that as well. But just be careful. You'll notice I went where there's no color, and then when there's color, do the color section last, because of course there's going to be a little bit of color that comes here onto your sponge. So that's the powder, and then we're going to go quickly to lips. I'm going to use my lip pencil, and I'm going to cross out the Cupid's bow, like so. Line the bottom, so I've married that up. And then you'll either go down the side of that lip line, or you'll come up like this, depending on you. Make sure you come right into the corners. We do want that connection point, and I am going to shade it into the lip as well, just softly, really softly. This is a time where I would say if you just wanted something super simple, I would now grab my finger and really just distribute it over the lip, and there's just a bit of color without being like lippy. You can then put lip balm over the top, or if you want it really for longevity and for it to stay where it is, don't put anything over the top of it, because you want to keep the pencil dry. As soon as you wet it and you put wax over the top of it, which is what lip balm has in it, it'll break it down, it'll go away faster. So this will stay where it is for quite some time. But if we want to put a little lippy over the top of it, we can. What color is this? Oh yeah, that's a nice color. So we could just put it on. But again, if you wanted something simple and like not too lippy, just a little touch of color. I find lipstick actually lasts better when you don't have too much product on. You can see I'm not going up to the line, and you can see by lining my lip, I've been able to be a little bit more free with putting that color in the center panel of the lip as well. So, setting spray, let that dry. You'll notice I'm just keeping my eyes shut because I really felt like there was a lot of liquid over my eyes. So if I'm opening up my eyes now, it would actually move the eyeshadow, it would crease. So I'm just going to do that. And we're done. Elevated everyday makeup look. If you have any questions, please just send me a message and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. And I can't wait to see you in the next class.